Welcome back to another NFL update, and this time we will be talking about the NFL Week 11, which had a lot of really big playoff indication games. A lot of big games went on, so obviously we're gonna get right into it and start with the Denver Broncos, like we always do. And I'm pretty. Honestly, this is the most fired up I have ever been after a win ever. I don't know what about it. There's something about my hatred of the Chiefs that played into this, but it was an exciting game to watch because after last week with the terrible win over the Raiders, a lot of the media called us frauds, called Bo Nix terrible, but not this week, and we'll get into that. So Denver wins 22-19 on a game-winning field goal for not third week in a row, but they've done it 5 times this year where they've had 5 game-winning drives. Insane. The Broncos' defensive front, like they have all season, controlled the tempo, frustrated the Kansas City Chiefs in their passing game. At the beginning of this game, when it seemed like the Chiefs were having a lot of success, that was coming from the quick pass game. They were running the ball well, which was weird. They ran it, I think, 6 times, something like that, which is really odd to me. They were running the ball well. They were running these quick passes, but as soon as they started taking these shots downfield, 10 plus yards, the Broncos defense line started to get to Mahomes, forcing turnovers. They had a BS pick six taken away, but they did get a pick later. I don't think it was on that drive specifically, but it was a good win. Bo Nix had 300 passing yards, so you can't complain about that with no picks. But Denver's confidence is noticeably rising, and you can definitely feel there's a huge culture shift in that locker room ever since they got Sean Payton. So, I mean, that's the Bronco game. That was a really good win. They're now on top of the AFC. They're now the number one seed in the AFC. We'll see if they can hold it. There's some good teams up there, too. But next, we're going to talk about an MVP performance with Josh Allen having 6 touchdowns, 6 total touchdowns, with 3 passing, 3 rushing versus the Buccaneers, which is I can't remember correctly. I think it's been done twice or 3 times before, and like 2 of the times it was Josh Allen. And he's probably not done putting up those numbers. He's an insane freak in nature. He's like 6'4", 230. He's explosive. I mean, wow. Buffalo's offense finally looks explosive again, which is what they've kind of been lacking all year, especially in their loss with the Panthers and Dolphins. But we can also talk about the Buccaneers here. They also played an incredible game. They let go at the end, but I remember I was watching. It was like 35-32. I was like, wow, this is an incredible game at the start of the fourth quarter. But the defensive coordinators are struggling against the dual threat Josh Allen again, which is really reason they have been so dominant the last like 5 years, but this season it hasn't really looked that way. But with that win, the Bills also stay in the AFC playoff race, and they're trailing the Patriots still in the division, which they probably won't win now, but it keeps them in that talk of being able to win the division. Then the Steelers blow out the Bengals, but this is really being talked about because of Aaron Rodgers' injury, where he plays the Bears next week, which is funny because I know Bears fans really want to get after Aaron Rodgers now that they're good, but with the final score 34-12, it kind of Rodgers gets injured near the end of the game, if I remember correctly. I mean, probably his last season. We don't know how this kind of injury will affect him the rest of the way, but we are pretty sure that he will not play against the Bears this upcoming week. And then I do want to talk about the Bengals. Their offense obviously is terrible, but I don't know how this is possible. So Joe Burrow gets turf toe at the beginning of the year, but now there's talks of him already being able to come back, which is absolutely insane to me. But if they say as early as next week, which probably won't happen, they'll probably play it safe, and they think he'll be back by Thanksgiving, which is absolutely insane. And then Rams take control of the NFC West with their win over Seattle. Rams young core looks like they're playing exceptionally well. Matthew Stafford is playing like an MVP right now. This late in his career, he's like 37. That's insane. Devontae Adams in the red zone, he's still incredible. And this was a really important game for NFC West, the NFC West race. It shapes a lot with tiebreakers and stuff, but Yeah, Sam Darnold. I gave a lot of praise to him last week. I was saying the Vikings should have kept him. He throws 4 picks this week. It's really these big games where Sam Darnold starts to struggle, and you kind of wonder, is he the guy? He's obviously been incredible all season, but if you can't trust a guy in these kind of situations, what do you really have? Then Eagles win ugly, but ugly winning is still winning. That's kind of the mindset I've had all year. I can't knack on a team, especially a Philly versus Detroit game where last year there have been fireworks, a bunch of them. This week, this time, 16-9. Really controversial call at the end of the game that could have potentially flipped the sides of who won this game, but nothing is guaranteed in the NFL, so you can't just make assumptions. Eagles pass rush dictated the entire second half. Detroit struggled with explosive plays where that's normally what they do with Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, which Laporta did get hurt, and I do believe they said he will be out for the season. So that's an interesting topic. You got to stay on top of how that affects their offense. But Eagles shown they still are one of the best teams in the league. I personally think they're probably going back to the NFC Championship, even the Super Bowl maybe. So we'll just kind of see what happens here. Then this was probably the most confusing game for me of the week. The Jaguars dominate 35-6 over the Chargers. That is absolutely insane. This was one of the Jacksonville's most complete team wins of the season. The run game opened up a lot. I can't quite remember. I think it was ETN had 2 touchdowns, I believe, not a bunch of yards, and then the other guy, I don't remember his name. I don't know why, but he also ran the ball well. And Trevor Lawrence played really well. And it's starting to, for the Chargers, if you're a Charger fan, I would start to get a little bit nervous because there's with that offensive line, you have 2 tackles out. Joe Alt, their guy on the other side, I don't remember his name, which I hate that I'm forgetting right now, but it really hurt the Chargers today in their chance to win the division. Now the Broncos took a 2-game lead, but you never know what can happen. They can get back. Momentum is really powerful in the NFLs, and the Jaguars honestly have it right now. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do. The South, known for being terrible, has 2 playoff teams right now, and the Texans are right outside looking in. So that will be an interesting race at the end of the year. It really depends on the Colts didn't play this week, they had their bye, but it really depends how much you believe in that Colt offense. The Steelers kind of exposed it. If you can shut down the run game, Daniel Jones is not who he had been all season. He kind of looked like himself in New York, but who knows? It could be a fluke. We'll see what happens with the finish line there. But the Jaguars do gain some ground there. And then 49ers offense explodes in a 41-22 victory over the Cardinals. With CMC back, that's a huge help. Mac Jones has been playing good. Brock Purdy coming back. They're still in the hunt, I think, for the playoffs. I could be very wrong about that, but they have San Francisco's made some midseason adjustments that are paying off. The Niners are built to thrive in these late games this year. Even with all the injuries, they're able to handle it with the run game. And their quarterbacks are playing just good enough to get them across the finish line. They still have a good defense, so there's a lot to look forward to. 49ers are not the team we saw 2 years in the Super Bowl, and we've seen the playoffs year in, year out, but they're still a very good football team. I could be wrong. I don't remember if it was this week or last week, but Jacoby Brissett set the NFL record for completions in a game of 47. That is insane. That is insane. And this is another week I talked about last week. Is Kyler Murray going to be the guy? Again, he didn't play this week, but he's been injured so much. Are they going to have to look in a different direction there with the Cardinals? They're going to have a decent draft pick this year, so that'll be really interesting to look at too. Then Green Bay beats the Giants in a 27-20 victory, and I was really happy this game because not that I hate the Packers. I'm not a Bear fan, but I still hate the Packers. Grew up in Central Illinois, but Jameis Winston being able to play football again. He didn't play a bad game. He had a QB sneak that went for 10 yards, but with what you get with Jameis Winston is you're going to get a gunslinger who can make top of the line throws, and then he'll make a pick, and you're like, what is going on here? But the Packers defense still made key stops in crucial moments. Near the end of that game when watching it, Micah and the rest of the Packers defense line was all over it. It was insane. But Green Bay looks like they could be a dark horse in the NFC. At the beginning of the year, they'd been Super Bowl favorites. Now, the Bears are on top of the division, and the not the Lions, but there's other teams on top now, and maybe they're the dark horse now. It's really interesting. They're a gritty team. I don't think Jordan Love is the guy there. They don't have great wide receiver play. Matthew Golden has not played up to his standards, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how they finish the season. Then this one, not a good win for the Texans, not at all. It's a win nonetheless to get them back at 500, 16, and they win 16-13 against Tennessee, who has the worst offense that maybe we've ever seen. It's incredible how bad they are. The Titans offense continues to struggle. It's not even Cam Ward's fault. He's put in possibly one of the worst situations you could possibly think of. And you know what? I think teams really need to stop doing that. They need to consider, hey, let's build up offensive line for a few years. Let's, get some wide receiver targets and then take our quarterback. Or maybe you focus more on that free agent. If you want to get a quarterback in free agency, you tell that to guys. You tell the offensive lineman targets like, hey, we're the number one overall pick. We're going to get Cam Ward. You know that. Why don't you be a part of this? I don't know. I think there's different ways you can go about building a team. I'm sick of teams just going quarterback right away. It doesn't work out. But who knows? The Bears last year at Caleb Williams, they were a little bit more of a complete team. They just had terrible coaching. So it's an interesting topic. There's so many different ways you can go about it, so many different views. And then we're going to end the week with Monday Night Football. We need to get the Raiders out of primetime. They were primetime last week, put up 7 points. They put up 16 this week in a blowout win with the Dallas winning 33-16. And Dallas finally put together a complete game on offense and defense. There's not too much to talk about this, but at the beginning of the game, they had George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb sat out the first drive because they were late, and there was reported they saw them throwing up at a casino the morning of, and they never slept, and they still both put up like 200 yards. So absolutely insane work. They're both freaks of nature. George Pickens has really come to his own in the offense, but last 2 weeks, Quinnen Williams has made a clear help. He's helped out a lot with what they've had going on the defensive side. Dallas is starting to look better. Maybe they can even make a playoff push to the end of the season. So that's it. That's all I got for you today. See you.